Today, we're reacting to one of the most unusual and emotionally striking episodes of The Jerry Springer Show, titled I Live in a Box. At first glance, the title sounds shocking, even unbelievable, but as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that this episode is less about spectacle and more about survival, trauma, and judgment. When the guest reveals that they literally live in a box, the audience reaction is immediate. Confusion, disbelief, and whispers fill the studio. Jerry approaches the situation carefully, asking questions instead of jumping to conclusions. And that's important because behind this extreme living situation is a much deeper story. As the guest explains their circumstances, you realize this isn't about attention. It's about someone who feels safer isolated than exposed to a world that has failed them. Whether it's past trauma, mental health struggles, or financial collapse, the box becomes more than a shelter. It becomes protection. That moment really shifts the tone of the episode. What stands out is how quickly judgment turns into discomfort. Some audience members laugh at first, but the laughter fades as the reality sinks in. This person isn't living this way for shock value. They're doing it because they feel they have no other option. And that realization makes the episode uncomfortable in a very real way. Jerry does something important here. He humanizes the guest. He doesn't allow the situation to be reduced to a joke. He asks about safety, health, and long-term plans. And through those questions, you see vulnerability break through. The guest isn't proud of living in a box. They're exhausted, and that exhaustion feels real. Of course, this is still the Jerry Springer Show, so conflict isn't far behind. Friends or family members come out expressing frustration, embarrassment, or anger. Some want to help, others feel pushed away. And that tension highlights a key theme of the episode. Sometimes people isolate not because they want to be alone, but because they don't feel understood. As emotions rise, the audience becomes divided. Some sympathize deeply, while others struggle to accept the situation. But that division is exactly what makes this episode powerful. It forces viewers to confront how they respond to people living outside social norms. By the end of the episode, there's no perfect solution. The box isn't magically replaced with a house. The problems aren't instantly solved. But there is something else: acknowledgement. The guest is seen, heard, and treated like a human being rather than a spectacle. This episode reminds us that extreme situations often come from extreme circumstances, and while it's easy to judge from the outside, understanding requires listening. I Live in a Box is one of those Jerry Springer episodes that stays with you, not because of chaos, but because it makes you uncomfortable in the most honest way. Let me know in the comments, do you think society does enough to help people who fall this far through the cracks, or do we look away too quickly?